Hi. It's no surprise that the custom keyboard game is a pretty expensive rabbit hole. There are a lot of factors to look into, such as your case, your PCB, your plate, and your switches, sometimes even the accessories like your cable or your keycaps. Even my keyboard alone was pretty expensive, at least to the regular person, but in the custom keyboard game, it's actually pretty affordable. So because of this, I'm starting a new series comparing different keyboard parts, one that's expensive and one that's relatively affordable. And to kick things off, what better way to start than with key switches? Alright, so if you couldn't already tell, the two switches I got were Novel Keys Creams and Gateron Yellows. The Novel Keys Creams were actually pretty expensive compared to the Gateron Yellows. And just by feel, you can tell that the Novel Keys spends more in its material, being made out of POM, and it definitely feels more premium than the Gateron Yellows. But anyways, here's a quick stock sound test. Alright, so putting them in the keyboard, I'm just gonna assemble the keyboard with the stock switches first, and then give you a sound test of what it sounds like in a keyboard at stock, and then I'll end up lubing them, and then giving you a lubed comparison. Okay, so clearly not great. Neither of them sound very good. The Novel Keys in particular sounded and actually felt very, very scratchy. Like, it just felt pretty bad, like, compared to even the Gateron Yellows, which actually felt smoother stock. So here I am lubing the switches. This took forever. I didn't lube all the switches I had because I wanted to keep a batch of unlubed ones. But if you don't know how to lube switches, I'll leave a link to a video below teaching you how to lube switches. But the gist of it is, the reason why anyone would lube switches is to make them feel smoother and perform better both in feel and acoustics. So this is Krytox 105 oil. This is what I use to lube the springs. And this is a method called bag lubing. You basically put the lube into the bag and then just simply shake the bag for a minute to lube all of the springs evenly. As for the actual switch housing, this is a lube called Krytox 205 Grade 0 that I will be using to brush over the inside of the housing as well as the stems. Alright, so now with both batches lubed, this is normally the point where I would put in a sound comparison between the Gateron yellows and the creams, but something I found quite interesting were the creams just didn't quite sound very good. I'll show you what I mean. This is what they sound like when they were lubed. So yeah, it still sounded and felt a little bit too scratchy. I understand that the creams have a certain break-in period, but I was just wondering why it just felt so bad. So I actually went ahead and re-lubed all of those switches, and I lubed it even more both on the spring, and I even lubed the upper housing just to make it sound a little bit better. And yeah, it actually made it significantly better. So it ended up working out better, but still not as good as I would like, but honestly, without the break-in period, this is the best I could do. So in any case, here's the comparison between both the lubed Gateron yellows and the Novel Keys creams. So how do they compare? Well, honestly, the Gateron yellows are pretty incredible. Coming in at almost a quarter of the price of the creams, it's just so hard not to recommend it over the creams. The creams obviously have their place. I'm sure they will be much better after the break-in period and after lubing it properly. But the truth is, for a lot of people, especially if you don't have a huge disposable income, spending that much in switches just doesn't quite make sense when the alternative is honestly pretty good. I actually prefer the feel of the Gateron yellows compared to the creams, even though I like the cream sound profile a little bit better. It's not like your money isn't going anywhere though. The creams are definitely made better. The switch stem, for example, has significantly less wobble than on the Gateron yellows, and the pins also are much harder to bend, whereas the pins on the Gateron yellows are just super malleable. Like, they bend so easy, which made installing them actually quite difficult. So yeah, even though this might not be the best comparison, creams and Gateron yellows were just the easiest linears I could get my hands on. In any case, I'll probably still end up going back to my glorious pandas, but the thing I was trying to do is to show that the expensive alternative isn't always the best option. Even I preferred the feel of the cheaper Gateron yellows, despite them coming in at almost a quarter of the price. And while yes, there are some better linears out there, potentially like the Telios or the Alpacas, but that isn't really the point. The point is that you don't have to spend that much in key switches. There are plenty of choices out there, especially in the linear market, just because they are so popular. The switch market is super big, so just look around for what fits you and what fits your budget. Don't just look at a popular streamer, see what keyboard they have and what switches they have, and then potentially get them and end up not liking them. Anyways, thank you all for watching this video. Next time we'll be comparing cheap keycaps to high-end keycaps. So if you like this content, then why not try sticking around. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye!